Okay, so to start, we're going to make the raspberry. We're going to delete this cube here. We're going to go to add mesh and we're going to add a UV sphere. We're going to change the dimensions here, so segments will be 12 and rings will be 6. Now we're going to go into edit mode. We're going to select the vertices. We're going to select the bottom vertex. And we're going to press G and Z to grab that vertex on the Z axis and stretch it out a bit to make the raspberry shape. And we're going to delete the faces by selecting face mode and deleting the top faces to form the hollow part of the raspberry. So now we're going to make the sphere parts of the raspberry that are on the top of it. We're going to shade the sphere smooth. We're going to add a subdivision surface modifier. We're going to turn it up 2 levels and render it 1 level. We're going to go to the particles tab. We're going to add hair particles and we're going to change this number to 75. We are making sure the source is the vertices and not the faces of the raspberry. Turn off random orientation. We are putting the render as an object, and we get the eyedropper and we grab the circle, the sphere that we just made, and we scale it accordingly so to make the raspberry shape. Now we're going to make sure all of those shapes stick by making those instances real and deleting the sphere we created. Now we have our raspberry shape. So now we want to color it red and make sure everything's highlighted. Well, first we're going to delete the sun source, the light source. We're going to add different light sources later. We're going to select the whole raspberry and we're going to, make sure everything is selected. And we're going to add a red color to it. You can see the red color in the tab on the top right that I just selected. I guess that's the materials mode or the shade mode. And the roughness, we'll turn it down just a bit just to give it the raspberry a bit of a sheen. And there we have it. We have our red raspberry. And what we're going to do is we're going to save this as a .obj object. a wavefront object. So we're going to export it and we're going to call it redraspberry.obj. And now we're going to change this to a blue color and export it as a blue raspberry.obj. Everything's colored in. Now we'll go to export as a wavefront.obj and we're going to change it to blue raspberry. It's highlighted in red there because we already have the name red raspberry, so it's just letting us know. So now since we exported both raspberries, we can delete the object. And now we can get started on our, well, actually before we get started, we'll just test that we can import the red raspberry and the blue raspberry. Yep, we can import the blue raspberry .obj file and the red raspberry.obj file. So we've got both raspberries intact. Now we can get started on our custard tart. We're going to start with the cup. We're going to add a mesh circle. We're going to go to edit mode, select the vertex mode. And then we're going to check or deselect it and scale those checkered vertexes down so it forms like those cupcake cup shapes. And we're going to extrude it on the z-axis by pressing E and Z. And we're going to scale it up by the top part by pressing S to scale it so it fans out. And we're going to go to the bottom of the cup, select edge mode, select one of the edges, press option, select and press F for face. Will all be option clicked and F for face to select all the edges and create a face. And we have our basic cup shape here. We just have to add a few modifiers to it. So we're adding a solidify modifier to make the cup thicker. And let's see here. We will go into object mode, press shade smooth. It looks kind of weird now, but we'll fix it. We're going to add another modifier called the subdivision surface again. Now we can fix the shape by putting it 2 levels and 1 render. And then we go into edit mode and we press Command R for a loop cut and slide it down. Command R, loop cut, and slide it up. Doing just one more loop cut here to smooth out the shape. And we have our cup shape. Now we'll get started on the custard. We're adding a circle. We're scaling that up and grabbing it and bringing it up on the z-axis. We're renaming our layer to custard. We go into edit mode. We check or deselect, and we scale down those vertices again to make that the triangles around the circle shape. We press F to fill in a face. Once we select the whole thing, we press I to inset it a few times, so it looks almost like a spider web. Now we click the face mode and we right click and press poke face to put a vertex in the middle of our custard. We're going to go to proportional editing where I just went. We're going to press G to grab the vertex and Z to grab it on the Z axis. And we're just forming the custard shape here. Now I'm rotating it on the z-axis to form the swirl in the custard. And we're going to add a subdivision surface modifier. I put it up 4 levels and rendered it 1 level. And we have our custard. Now we're just going to put it in the cup so it looks like it's filling the cup. You just have to scale it accordingly so it touches the edges of the cup. And there we have it. We have our custard-filled tart cup. Now, we're just going to change the color of the cup and the custard. We're going to make the cup like a graham cracker color. And we're going to make the custard a little shinier by turning down the roughness in the materials panel. And also we're going to change it to like a cream off-white color. Now we're going to import our raspberries. We're going to import the red raspberry. We're going to scale it down. And we're just going to place it as we see fit. However you want to place the raspberries in the custard, it's up to you. I'm duplicating these red raspberries a few times to go around a blue raspberry. So this part, you'll just see what I do here. I just rotate the raspberry so it's kind of diagonal. I'm rotating it on one of the axes right now, and now I'm rotating on the z-axis, so it's like looks like a diagonal. I duplicated it, and I'm just going to rotate it on the z-axis again. I'm going to place it in the custard. Just got to bring it down a little bit to put it in the custard. Duplicating it one more time. Rotating it on the z-axis. Well, I will rotate it on the z-axis. And make an additional raspberry here. Well, first I gotta bring up that raspberry. Okay, now we're just gonna add one more red raspberry on that side. Just bringing it up a little bit. I saved my file. And now I'm just going to import my blue raspberry.obj file. Scaling it down, bringing it up, scaling it. Think I'll be scaling it again. And flipping it upside down. To place in the middle of our custard tart. And there we have it. We have our custard tart. Now I'm just going to add a backdrop. So I'm doing this by adding a mesh cube, scaling it up, bringing it up on the z-axis, oops, I just want to delete some of the faces here. Now I'm just going to scale up the backdrop and bring it up on the Z axis by pressing G and Z. Now I just beveled that corner in edge mode and I scrolled on my wheel after I pressed Command B. And now I'm just right clicking and shading the backdrop smooth. And now we're just gonna add like a nice lavendery dark purple background. So now I have to add my lighting. I like to add area lights. I'm going to scale it up. And I'm going to turn up the wattage, the power to 300 watts. And I'm just moving this light to one side. And I'm duplicating that light and moving it to the other side. And I duplicated it one more time, moved it to the top. So we have more lighting. I'm just checking how the lighting looks. Now I'm going to the world and I'm changing the color of the world to a lighter gray. I saved my file. Now I'm going into camera mode. I'm going to press N for properties and I'm going to select camera to view. I'm just scaling up and moving the backdrop up a little bit. I saved my file. I'm just panning the camera by holding shift and holding down the middle mouse and just seeing what it looked like in different rendered angles. I want my custard to look a little better. And I'm just seeing how it looks like at this rendered angle. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below.